Before I tell you what happened at my daughter's funeral, I need you to promise me something. Stay till the end." I was standing beside Emma's casket, my 34-year-old girl. People lined up to shake my hand, their faces blurred with pity. The photo frame felt cold in my palm. Emma in her classroom, smiling at someone off camera. Then Ryan spoke. "My son-in-law? Right there in front of everyone? I'm cutting this short. We have dinner reservations." He turned toward the door. That's when I said it, just one name. His face went white as Emma's casket flowers. "If you're watching this, subscribe and let me know where you're watching from." Emma was an elementary school teacher, 34 years old. She loved her students the way some people love gardens, carefully, hopefully. She met Ryan 6 years ago. He was an architect, successful, charming in that easy way that makes mothers lower their guard. 4 years back, at their wedding, I watched him look at Emma. Or I thought I did. I thought I saw love there. She told me once, "Mom, he makes me feel safe." The funeral home smelled like lavender, Emma's favorite flower. Someone had placed them everywhere on the casket, along the walls, in small vases by the guest book. The scent was so thick, it made my throat tight. I looked at her photo in my hands, that classroom smile, the one I'd never see again, except in frames. But safety, I learned too late, can be a beautiful lie wrapped in promises. 6 months before the funeral, Emma called me at 2 a.m. Her voice shook. "Mom, can I come home?" I heard Ryan yelling behind her. "You're being dramatic." She showed up with a small suitcase. There was a bruise on her wrist. She said she'd bumped into the corner of a table. I asked what happened. She wouldn't answer, just cried in her old bedroom with the door closed. The next morning, Ryan appeared at my door with roses and apologies. Emma went back with him. "He's just stressed with work, Mom." The coffee cup she'd left on my kitchen counter sat there untouched, still full, cold. 3 months after that night, she was dead. I spent every day since then asking myself what I could have done differently. Should I have pushed harder? Should I have refused to let her leave? Should I have seen what I didn't want to see? But you can't rewind a life. You can only stand at the end of it and count your failures. They said Emma fell from the balcony of their 3rd-floor apartment. An accident. The police report used words like sleeping pills and possible depression. Ryan told them she'd been taking medication for anxiety, that she'd seemed disoriented that night, that she must have gotten dizzy near the railing. But I knew Emma. She was terrified of heights. She wouldn't even stand near the edge of a balcony. She'd grip my arm on parking garage rooftops. The night before the funeral, I couldn't sleep. The hotel where they'd arranged the service was in the beach town where Emma grew up. Ryan had booked a room down the hall from mine. Around 11, I heard voices. Ryan's voice, laughing. I stood in the hallway. His door was cracked open. "Yeah, just one more day of this circus," he said. "Then we're free." A woman's voice came through the phone. Light, almost giddy. "Can't believe you pulled it off, babe." My hand shook. Water from the glass I was holding spilled onto the tile floor. Ryan kept talking. "The life insurance clears in 30 days. 2 million. And the cops bought it? Hook, line, and sinker. Depressed teacher, sleeping pills, tragic accident." The woman laughed. It was a sound I'll never forget. High and careless. The kind of laugh you make when you think you've gotten away with something. I stepped back from the door. My legs wouldn't hold me. I sat down right there in the hallway, my back against the wall. $2 million. Emma had been worth $2 million to him. Not her laugh. Not the way she'd hum while grading papers. Not the students she stayed late to tutor or the garden she kept on their tiny balcony. Just $2 million. I sat there until my breathing steadied, until I could think past the rage boiling in my chest. Ryan thought he'd gotten away with it. He thought one more day, one performance at his wife's funeral, and he'd be rich. Free. Done. He thought no one knew. But I knew. And tomorrow, at Emma's funeral, I'd make sure everyone else knew it too. Not with screaming. Not with accusations he could deny. I'd let him show them who he really was. All I had to do was give him enough rope. That's when I knew. My daughter didn't fall. She was pushed. And the man who pushed her was about to bury her with a smile on his face. I didn't sleep that night. Couldn't. I kept thinking about calling the police, walking down to the hotel lobby and asking them to dial 911, telling them what I'd heard. But what did I have? A conversation through a door. Ryan's word against mine. He'd say I misheard. That grief made me confused, that I was looking for someone to blame. And he'd be free. I thought about Emma, about how she always believed in second chances. "Mom, everyone deserves forgiveness," she used to say, even when kids in her class misbehaved, even when they didn't deserve it. But Ryan didn't deserve her forgiveness. He didn't deserve anything but the truth. Around 4 in the morning, I opened Emma's old purse, the one I'd brought from their apartment. Inside was a small notebook, her journal. The last entry was dated 3 days before she died. He said I'm worthless without him. Maybe he's right. I don't know who I am anymore. I closed the journal, set it on the nightstand beside her wedding photo, the one where she looked so happy. That's when I made my choice. I wouldn't scream. I wouldn't accuse. I'd let Ryan expose himself. Justice doesn't always shout. Sometimes it waits in silence for the perfect moment. The morning of the funeral, I saw Detective Kate Harris in the lobby. Kate had gone to high school with Emma. They'd stayed close. She was there as a friend, not as a cop. I pulled her aside into a corner near the vending machines. "Kate, I need to tell you something." She looked at me, really looked, the way police officers do when they're deciding whether to listen or dismiss. I told her about the phone call, about the insurance money, about Ryan's voice saying those words pulled it off. Her face went still. "Professional. Mrs. Blake, I can't act on hearsay. But," she pulled out a business card, wrote her cell number on the back. "If you find anything concrete, call me immediately." Her hand was warm when she squeezed mine. It was the first time since Emma died that someone believed me without question. She leaned in close, whispered, "Keep him talking today. Men like him love to gloat." She didn't know how right she was. The service started at 2 in the afternoon. Ryan stood next to me at the front of the chapel, his face arranged in grief. Perfect. Practiced. People came through the line. Teachers from Emma's school, parents of her students, old friends. Each one shook Ryan's hand, told him how sorry they were, how much they'd loved Emma. He thanked them, voice quiet, eyes down. I watched him check his watch, 3 times in the first hour. At 3:15, a woman walked in. Late 20s, blonde hair pulled back, black dress that fit too well for a funeral. She stood in the back row, didn't come through the receiving line. Ryan saw her. Their eyes met across the room. That look told me everything. The kind of look you don't give strangers, the kind that says we have secrets. I saw the gold necklace at her throat. Delicate, expensive. I'd seen that necklace before. In a photo on Ryan's desk at the apartment, he'd said it was for a client. At 3:45, Ryan stepped up to the podium to give his eulogy. "Emma was the light of my life," he said. "I'll never love again." The blonde woman in the back smiled. Just slightly, just enough. My hands gripped the armrest of my chair. Ryan finished with, "But life goes on. Emma would want that." He checked his watch again. That's when I knew it was time. Ryan stepped down from the podium, leaned close to me, whispered, "I think we can wrap this up soon." I nodded, kept my voice steady. "Yes. Let's end this properly." The pastor was preparing the final prayer. Ryan glanced at the blonde woman again, made a small gesture with his hand. She nodded back. At 4:10, he did it. He stood up in the middle of the chapel, raised his voice just enough to carry. "Everyone, thank you for coming, but I need to cut this short." The room went silent, confused faces turning toward him. "Emma would understand," he said. "She wouldn't want us dwelling in sadness." Beth, Emma's best friend from college, stood up. "What? The service isn't over." Ryan's jaw tightened. "I have important plans. Emma wouldn't want me to put my life on hold." He gestured toward the back of the room. "Jennifer has been helping me cope. She's a grief counselor. We have an appointment." The blonde woman Jennifer stepped forward, walked right up to Ryan's side. "We should go," she said to him, loud enough for the front rows to hear. This was it, the moment I'd waited for since that phone call, since I heard him laugh about my daughter's death. He wasn't just disrespectful. He was flaunting it. In front of Emma's body. In front of everyone who loved her. Ryan turned toward the door. Jennifer linked her arm through his. I stood up. My voice came out clear, calm, deadly quiet. Ryan, wait. He stopped, turned around. What is it, Margaret? I looked at Jennifer. Right in her eyes. I'm sorry. I didn't catch your last name. She blinked. Uncertain. Morrison. Jennifer Morrison. I nodded slowly. Let the name sit in the air. Morrison, I repeated. That's interesting. Ryan's face shifted, just slightly, the first crack in his performance. Do you know a detective named Morrison, Ryan? Ryan's face went tight. Margaret, this isn't the time. I cut him off, kept my eyes on Jennifer. Detective Kate Morrison. She's with the county police, old friend of Emma's. Jennifer's face drained of color. I stepped into the aisle, walked slowly toward them. The room was so quiet I could hear my shoes on the carpet. Kate's been very helpful these past few days. She dug into some things for me. Financial records, phone logs, that sort of thing. Ryan's hand dropped from Jennifer's arm. I looked at Jennifer. She's your sister, isn't she? Kate Morrison. You two don't look much alike, but the records don't lie. Jennifer's mouth opened. Nothing came out. See, Kate found something interesting, I continued. You bought a condo last month, Jennifer. $800,000. Cash down payment of $200,000. The crowd was watching now, every eye on us. Funny thing is, Ryan told me he was broke. Said Emma's medical bills wiped them out. But somehow, you had $200,000 to put down on a condo. Ryan's voice came out harsh. That's private business. Is it? I pulled an envelope from my jacket pocket. Because Kate also found these. Emails between you two. I didn't open it. Just held it up so everyone could see. 47 emails over 6 months. Planning, scheming, talking about what you'd do once Emma was gone. Jennifer grabbed Ryan's arm. We need to leave. Now. Beth stood up from her seat. What are you saying, Mrs. Blake? I looked at Beth. At all of them. I'm saying my daughter didn't fall from that balcony. She was pushed. Gasps rippled through the chapel. Ryan's face turned red. You're insane. You're grieving, and you're not thinking straight. Once she's gone, we split the insurance 50-50, I said, quoting from memory, from the emails Kate had printed for me. Then Miami, baby. Jennifer's legs seemed to give. She grabbed the back of a pew. I kept going. The pills will make it look natural. No one will question it. Stop, Jennifer whispered. But I didn't stop. Emma was worth $2 million to you. That's what Ryan increased her life insurance to. 2 months before she died, he forged her signature. Kate found the original policy. Beth's hand covered her mouth. Other people stood up. Voices rising. Ryan lunged toward me. You won't get away with this. But Detective Kate Harris was already moving from the back of the room. 2 uniformed officers came through the side door. Kate had been there the whole time. Listening, recording. She pulled out her badge. Ryan Mitchell, Jennifer Morrison, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder and insurance fraud. Ryan's face went from red to white in seconds. The same white as Emma's casket flowers. And for the first time since my daughter died, I felt something other than pain. I felt power. Ryan tried to pull away from Kate. This is slander. You're grieving, Margaret. You're not thinking straight. Jennifer was shaking. I don't know what she's talking about. I looked at her. Really looked. Then let me refresh your memory. I pulled out a USB drive from my other pocket. Held it up. 2 weeks ago, I went to Emma and Ryan's apartment. I still had a key. Ryan was at work. I could see Ryan's face changing. Understanding what I'd done. I found Emma's laptop. The one she kept hidden in the back of the closet. The one Ryan told her she wasn't allowed to use. Beth made a sound. Half gasp, half sob. Emma wrote emails she never sent. Dozens of them. To me. To a divorce lawyer. To a women's shelter. I looked at Ryan. Mom, I'm scared. He said he'll make it look like I hurt myself. The room was completely silent now. She knew Ryan. She knew you were planning something. She just didn't know when. Kate pulled out handcuffs. Mr. Mitchell, put your hands behind your back. Ryan's voice went desperate. The laptop was erased. I checked. He stopped, realized what he'd just admitted. Kate smiled. Cold. Professional. You just confessed to destroying evidence. Thank you for that. She turned to Jennifer. Miss Morrison, you have the right to remain silent. But Jennifer wasn't silent. She was breaking. It was his idea, she said, tears streaming. I just wanted the money. I didn't think. Shut up, Ryan hissed at her. Jennifer kept talking. He said Emma was going to leave him anyway. He said it would be mercy. He said no one would know. Kate's partner cuffed Ryan. Read him his rights while Ryan stared at me with pure hatred. I didn't look away. Jennifer collapsed into a pew. We met 18 months ago, at a bar. He said he was trapped. He said Emma was controlling. I said shut up, Ryan tried to shout, but the officer pulled him back. Kate knelt beside Jennifer. Tell me about the night Emma died. Jennifer's voice broke. Ryan called me, told me to call Emma, pretend to be an old friend, get her to come out on the balcony. And you did it, Kate said. Not a question. I thought he was just going to talk to her, to convince her to sign divorce papers, but then She couldn't finish. Kate finished for her. He pushed her. Jennifer nodded, sobbing now. The chapel erupted, people shouting, Beth screaming at Ryan. The officers had to hold several people back. I stood there in the center of it all, watching Ryan's carefully built lie fall apart. He looked at me one more time before they took him out. You won't get away with this. I walked closer to him, close enough that only he could hear me. I already have. They led him away. Jennifer went in a separate car, still crying, still saying she was sorry. After they were gone, the chapel slowly emptied. People didn't know what to say to me. They touched my shoulder, squeezed my hand, left in shocked silence. Beth stayed. She came up to me, hugged me hard. You found the truth, she whispered. You found it for her. The pastor approached. May justice be Sarah's peace. I didn't correct him about Emma's name. I was too tired. When everyone was gone, I sat down in the front pew, alone with Emma's casket. I touched the smooth wood. They can't hurt you anymore, baby. No one can hurt you now. Kate came back in, sat beside me. The DA will want your statement, all the evidence you collected, the laptop, the USB, everything. I nodded. Margaret, she said quietly. How did you know to look for all this? I thought about that night in the hotel hallway, sitting on the floor with spilled water around me, hearing Ryan laugh about my daughter's death. Because I'm her mother, I said. And a mother's love doesn't die with her child. It transforms into something fiercer. Kate stood, squeezed my shoulder. We'll get them, both of them. Life sentences. After she left, I stayed with Emma until sunset. The lavender smell had faded, but I could still feel her there, still hear her voice. You did good, Mom. 3 days after the funeral, Kate called me to the police station. She sat across from me in a small gray room, pushed a thick folder across the table. Margaret, we've built an airtight case, thanks to you. I opened the folder. Bank statements, phone records, email printouts, photos. The evidence we'd gathered together. It started the night I heard Ryan's phone call, when I couldn't sleep, when I knew telling the police wouldn't be enough without proof. I'd called Kate the next morning, told her everything. She'd said, suicide doesn't fit Emma's profile. I've thought that from day one. Then she'd said, give me 48 hours. I'll dig into his financials. Kate had found transfers to Jennifer, $50,000 over 6 months, 6 separate payments. She'd found the condo purchase, $800,000, down payment of $200,000. She'd traced 40 calls a day between Ryan and Jennifer during Emma's last 3 months. And she'd found the insurance policy. Ryan had increased it to $2 million. 2 months before Emma died, he'd forged Emma's signature. Kate had tracked down the original document, sent it to a handwriting expert. Margaret, Kate had told me, this is enough to reopen. But Ryan will lawyer up immediately. We need something stronger, a confession. That's when I'd suggested it. Let him come to the funeral. Let him bring Jennifer. He's arrogant enough to think he's safe. Kate had looked uncertain. That's risky. He'll slip, I'd said. Men like him can't help themselves. They have to gloat. Kate had agreed to wire me, to record everything. I'd suggested the funeral be in the beach town, where Emma grew up. Ryan had agreed immediately, probably relieved to get it over with. I'd rented the hotel room next to his. Kate had helped me set up listening equipment. That's how I'd heard the phone call so clearly. The morning of the funeral, Kate had positioned 2 plainclothes officers in the chapel, one by each exit. I'd brought the USB drive, the printed emails, Emma's wedding ring, which I wore on my own finger as a reminder. Everything had been calculated. When Ryan announced he was leaving early, Kate had texted me from the back row. One word. Ready? I'd been ready. Now, in the police station, Kate spread out more documents. The DA is charging Ryan with first-degree murder, insurance fraud, and forgery. Jennifer gets accessory to murder. She looked at me. They're both looking at life without parole. I should have felt relief. Victory. Instead, I felt hollow. Will it bring Emma back? I asked. Kate's voice softened. No, but it'll make sure he never does this to another woman. I nodded, stood to leave. Before I reached the door, Kate said, Margaret, how did you stay so calm? At the funeral, when you confronted him. I thought about Emma's journal entry, about the coffee cup on my kitchen counter, about every moment I'd failed to save her. Because I'd already spent weeks screaming inside, I said. By the time the funeral came, I'd burned through rage and landed on something colder, something more useful. Kate understood. Justice. No, I said. Purpose. I'd spent my whole life teaching Emma to be kind. But that day, I learned something new. Kindness without justice is just permission for cruelty. The funeral continued after they took Ryan and Jennifer away. No one knew what to say. People sat in shocked silence. Some cried, some just stared at Emma's casket like they were seeing it for the first time. The pastor tried to resume the service. His hands shook on the podium. Beth came and sat beside me, held my hand. You knew, she whispered. All morning, you knew what was going to happen. I nodded. How did you stay so calm? I didn't have an answer for her then. I barely had one for myself. When the service finally ended, people approached me carefully, like I might shatter, like I was made of something fragile. But I wasn't fragile anymore. An older woman I didn't recognize touched my arm. You're very brave. I wasn't brave. I was just a mother who refused to let her daughter's killer walk free. After everyone left, Kate came back into the chapel. 2 other detectives were with her now. Mrs. Blake, we need your full statement. Everything you collected. The laptop, the USB, all of it. I gave them everything. Emma's laptop with the unsent emails, the ones where she'd written to me, begging for help she never sent. The ones to the divorce attorney, to the domestic violence shelter. The USB with Ryan's deleted messages. The ones he thought he'd erased from their shared tablet. The ones talking about the balcony, about making it look like suicide. The journal entry from 3 days before Emma died. He said I'm worthless without him. Maybe he's right. The printouts Kate had gotten from the bank, the phone records, the insurance documents, everything. One of the detectives looked through it all, whistled low. This is the most organized evidence package I've ever seen from a civilian. I'm a librarian, I said. Organization is what I do. Kate walked me out to my car as the sun was setting. Margaret, you should know. Ryan's already calling for his lawyer. He's claiming you fabricated everything, that you tampered with evidence. I'd expected that. But Jennifer is talking, Kate continued. She's terrified. She's telling us everything. How they met. How Ryan convinced her Emma was abusive. How he planned it all. Was she there? I asked. When he pushed Emma? Kate nodded. She was in the apartment. She made the phone call to lure Emma onto the balcony. Then she watched from inside while Ryan. She didn't finish. Didn't need to. Will she testify against him? Her lawyer is negotiating a deal. 25 to life instead of life without parole, in exchange for her testimony. I thought about that. About Jennifer getting out someday, walking free while Emma stayed in the ground. It's not fair, I said. No, Kate agreed. But it guarantees Ryan goes away forever. Without her testimony, a good defense attorney might create reasonable doubt. I understood. Justice isn't always clean. Sometimes it's just the best you can get. Kate squeezed my shoulder. Go home. Get some rest. The DA will want to meet with you next week. I drove back to my house, the one where Emma had grown up, where she'd run to 6 months ago with bruises on her wrist. The coffee cup was still on the kitchen counter. I'd left it there, a reminder of the morning I'd let her go back to him. I picked it up now, washed it, put it away. Then I sat at the kitchen table and cried. Not quiet tears, not dignified grief. I cried the way you cry when you've been holding everything together for so long that when you finally let go, it all comes out at once. I cried for Emma, for the girl who believed everyone deserved second chances, for the teacher who stayed late to help struggling students, for my daughter who'd loved a man who only loved money. I cried for the mother I'd been, the one who'd seen the bruises and believed the lies, who'd let Emma walk out that door. And I cried for the mother I'd become, the one who'd wiretapped a funeral, who'd turned her daughter's memorial service into a crime scene. Both mothers had failed Emma. But maybe, just maybe, this new version of me could save someone else's daughter. When I finally stopped crying, it was dark outside. I looked at Emma's photo on the mantel, the one from her college graduation. I'm not done yet, baby, I whispered. They're not the only ones who need to pay. The district attorney's office called me in a week later. The building was downtown, gray stone, high ceilings, the kind of place that made you speak in whispers. A woman met me in the lobby. Sharp suit, sharper eyes. Mrs. Blake? I'm Amanda Torres, senior prosecutor. Thank you for coming. She led me to a conference room, spread files across the table like cards in a game. We've built what I believe is an airtight case, thanks to your evidence. She opened the first folder. Financial records. Ryan transferred $50,000 to Jennifer Morrison over 6 months. 6 separate transactions, all dated, all traceable. She opened another. Jennifer purchased a condominium in Miami for $800,000. Put down $200,000 in cash. The closing was scheduled for 6 weeks after Emma's death. Another folder. The insurance policy. Ryan increased Emma's coverage from $200,000 to $2 million, 2 months before she died. We had a handwriting expert examine Emma's signature. It's forged, 98% certainty. She kept going. Phone records. Ryan and Jennifer spoke an average of 40 times per day during Emma's last 3 months alive. Text messages we recovered from the cloud show premeditation. Amanda pulled out printed texts. Let me read them. 3 weeks before Emma died. Jennifer texts, "Are you sure about this?" Ryan replies, "It's the only way." My hands shook holding the paper. 2 weeks before, Jennifer, "What if someone suspects?" Ryan, "They won't. Depression, pills, balcony, clean." 1 week before, Ryan, "Tonight's the night." Jennifer, "I'll call her at 11:30. Amanda closed that folder. Opened another. Medical evidence. We exhumed Emma's body. I know that was difficult for you to authorize. It had been. Signing those papers. Knowing they'd dig her up. The coroner found bruising on Emma's back consistent with 2 hands pushing. The angle of impact doesn't match an accidental fall. And her blood showed zolpidem levels 10 times higher than therapeutic dose. Sleeping pills, I said. Yes. Ryan had been giving them to her, crushing them into her evening tea, for at least 2 months. We found residue in a teacup at their apartment. Emma's nightly tea. The chamomile she drank before bed. He'd poisoned it. Amanda continued. We also have testimony from neighbors. Mrs. Rodriguez heard Emma scream, "No, please," before she fell. The building security guard saw Ryan and an unidentified woman entering the elevator at 11:25 p.m. That woman was Jennifer. Were they both there? I asked. When he pushed her? Amanda nodded. Jennifer has confessed. She was in the apartment. She called Emma from a burner phone, pretended to be an old college friend. asked Emma to step onto the balcony so they could talk privately. Emma was disoriented from the drugs. Confused, she went outside. I could see it. Emma in her pajamas. Groggy. Trying to be polite even while barely conscious. Jennifer says she stayed inside, watched through the glass door. Ryan followed Emma out. They argued for approximately 2 minutes. Then he pushed her. The room was too quiet. I could hear my own heartbeat. Jennifer called 911 herself, pretended to be a neighbor who heard the fall. She left the building before police arrived. And Ryan? Stayed in the apartment, played the devastated husband, told police Emma had been depressed, that she'd taken too many pills and must have gotten dizzy. Amanda pulled out one more folder. Emma's laptop. The emails she wrote but never sent. There are 47 total. They're heartbreaking, and they establish a pattern of abuse and control. She read from one. Mom, I'm afraid to use my own computer. He checks everything. He reads my texts. He controls all our money. I can't leave. I don't know how. Another. Dear Attorney Wilson, I need help filing for divorce. My husband has threatened me. I'm scared. Please call me at my school number. Never my cell. Another. Shelter intake form. My husband has isolated me from friends and family. He monitors my location. He started talking about how easy accidents can be. Tears ran down my face. I didn't wipe them away. With all of this, Amanda said, the charges are first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit murder, insurance fraud, and forgery. For Ryan, Jennifer faces accessory to murder and conspiracy. What are their chances? Amanda didn't hesitate. Ryan is looking at life without possibility of parole. Jennifer's attorney is negotiating. If she testifies against Ryan, she'll get 25 to life. She'd be eligible for parole in 25 years. She watched my daughter get murdered. I know. But her testimony guarantees we convict Ryan. Without it, his defense team might create doubt. They'd argue the forensics are circumstantial, that the emails could be fabricated, that Emma really did fall. I understood, but I didn't have to like it. When is the trial? 6 months. We're fast-tracking it. The evidence is solid. Ryan's lawyers will try to delay, but Judge Morrison won't allow it. I looked up. Morrison? Amanda smiled slightly. No relation to Jennifer, different family. Judge Patricia Morrison. She's tough, fair, she'll run a clean trial. 6 months. Half a year before Ryan would face what he'd done. Mrs. Blake, Amanda said gently, I need to prepare you. You'll have to testify. Tell the jury what you heard. What you found. It won't be easy. I'll do it. Ryan's defense will try to discredit you. They'll say grief made you irrational, that you planted evidence. Let them try. Amanda gathered the folders, stood. You've given us everything we need. You built this case. Most mothers couldn't have done what you did. Most mothers, I said, don't have to. As I walked out of the courthouse, I realized something. Justice is a long road, and I'd only just reached the first mile marker. 2 weeks later, I went back to Emma and Ryan's apartment. The landlord had given me permission, said I had until the end of the month to clear it out. I stood in the doorway for a long time before I could make myself go inside. Everything was exactly as Emma had left it. Her jacket still hung on the hook by the door. The dish towel she'd embroidered with sunflowers was folded on the counter. The balcony door was open, curtains moving in the breeze. I made myself walk to it, made myself look down at the concrete 3 stories below. This was where Emma had spent her last moments. Confused, scared, betrayed by the man she'd loved. I gripped the railing. My knuckles went white. She should have had 50 more years. Children, grandchildren, a whole life. Instead, she got a husband who saw her as a bank account. I turned away from the balcony, started going through her things. In the bedroom, I found the journal I'd already read, but underneath it was an envelope addressed to me, sealed. The date on it was 1 month before she died. My hands shook opening it. Mom, it started. If you're reading this, it means I didn't make it out. I sat down on the bed, kept reading through blurring vision. I'm so sorry. I should have left him earlier. I should have listened to you. But I want you to know I don't want you to hate him. He's sick, Mom. Something's broken inside him. I tried to fix it, but I couldn't. Don't let anger consume you. Don't let him take away your peace, too. I love you. Always, Emma. I held the letter to my chest, rocked back and forth. Even at the end, she'd been trying to protect me, trying to teach me forgiveness. But how could I not hate him? He'd killed her, stolen her future, stolen my daughter. I thought about the trial, about sitting in that courtroom, looking at Ryan's face while they listed his crimes. Did I want justice, or did I want revenge? I called Kate from Emma's living room. Margaret? Everything okay? Kate, the trial is in 6 months. Are you ready to testify? I am. Are you? I looked at Emma's handwriting on the letter. I don't know. Silence on the line. Then Kate said gently, What's wrong? Emma asked me to forgive him. More silence. Forgiving doesn't mean letting him walk free, Kate finally said. It means freeing yourself. But I didn't feel ready to be free. I felt trapped between the mother I'd been and the mother I'd become. The one who'd believed the best in everyone, and the one who'd wiretapped a funeral. I stayed in the apartment until dark, packing Emma's clothes, her books, the little things that made up a life. In the kitchen, I found the teacup, the one Ryan had poisoned. I almost threw it against the wall, almost let myself scream. Instead, I wrapped it carefully in newspaper, put it in a box. Evidence. Always evidence. On the balcony, I found Emma's plants, the little herb garden she'd kept, basil, mint, rosemary. They were all dead now. No one had watered them. I knelt down, touched the dry soil. I'm sorry, baby, I whispered. I should have saved you, but I couldn't save her. I could only make sure the man who killed her paid the price. That wasn't the same as justice. But it was all I had. I stood on that balcony as the sun set, held the railing Emma had held. Tomorrow, I'd go back to my life, my job at the library, my empty house, my grief. But tonight, I stood where my daughter died, and I made a promise. I would testify. I would sit in that courtroom and tell the truth, not because Emma asked me to forgive Ryan, but because other daughters needed protection. Other mothers needed to see that silence kills. I would do this not for revenge, for something harder, for peace. 6 months later, the trial began. The courtroom was packed, media in the back rows, Emma's friends and former students filling the benches, Ryan's family on one side, mine on the other. Ryan sat at the defense table in a dark suit, hair cut, clean-shaven. His lawyer had coached him well. He looked like a grieving husband, not a murderer. Jennifer sat separately, her own attorney beside her. She'd taken the plea deal, 25 to life in exchange for testimony. Judge Patricia Morrison entered. Everyone stood. Please be seated. We are here for the matter of the People versus Ryan Mitchell. The prosecutor, Amanda Torres, stood, began her opening statement. This is a case about greed, about a man who valued money over his wife's life, about premeditated, cold-blooded murder disguised as tragedy. Ryan's lawyer, a man named Davidson, countered. This is a case about a grieving widow's vendetta, about circumstantial evidence and a mother who couldn't accept that her daughter was depressed. The first 3 days were witnesses. Mrs. Rodriguez testified. I heard Emma scream. She said, "No, please." Then, silence. Then the sound of something hitting concrete. The building security guard. I saw Mr. Mitchell and a blonde woman enter the elevator at 11:25 p.m. They looked nervous, kept checking their phones. Emma's doctor. She came in 3 times in 6 months with bruises, different locations each time. She said she was clumsy, but the pattern suggested something else. On day 5, the medical examiner took the stand. The bruising on Mrs. Mitchell's back is consistent with being pushed by 2 hands. The angle of her body's impact doesn't match an accidental fall. She was propelled forward with force. And the toxicology? Zolpidem levels 10 times the therapeutic dose. She would have been barely conscious, unable to consent, unable to defend herself. Day 7 was my turn. Amanda called me to the stand. I placed my hand on the Bible, swore to tell the truth. Mrs. Blake, can you tell us what you heard the night before your daughter's funeral? I told them about the hotel hallway, about Ryan's door being open, about his voice laughing. He said, "The life insurance clears in 30 days. $2 million. He said, "The cops bought it. Hook, line, and sinker." He said, "Depressed teacher, sleeping pills, tragic accident." The jury was listening, really listening. Davidson stood for cross-examination. "Mrs. Blake, isn't it true you never approved of my client?" "That's true." "So you had a motive to frame him?" "I had a motive to find the truth." "The truth as you see it? Colored by grief? By a mother's bias?" I looked at Ryan. He wouldn't meet my eyes. "The truth is my daughter was terrified of heights. The truth is she tried to leave him and he brought her back. The truth is he killed her for money." Ryan stood up. "That's a lie! Emma was unstable. She—" Judge Morrison's gavel came down hard. "Mr. Mitchell, sit down, or you will be held in contempt." His lawyer pulled him back into his seat. But the damage was done. The jury had seen his anger. On day 10, Jennifer testified. She cried through the whole thing, told them how she and Ryan met, how he'd convinced her Emma was emotionally abusive, how they'd planned everything. "He told me we were helping her," Jennifer sobbed. "He said she wanted to die, that we were just making it easier." "But you knew about the insurance money?" Jennifer's voice dropped to a whisper. "Yes." "And you knew he was going to push her?" Long silence. "Yes." Amanda showed the jury the text messages, the timeline, the bank transfers. 3 weeks before Emma died, you texted Ryan. "Are you sure about this?" "What did you mean?" "I meant about killing her." The courtroom erupted. Judge Morrison had to call for order. On day 12, Ryan testified. His lawyer had advised against it, but Ryan's ego wouldn't let him stay silent. "I loved Emma. She was everything to me." Amanda stood for cross-examination. "Then why did you increase her life insurance without her knowledge?" "I wanted to protect her." "Or did you want to profit from her death?" Ryan said nothing. Amanda played the recording from the funeral, Ryan's voice clear and cold. "I did her a favor." Ryan's face went white. "I didn't mean it like that." "How did you mean it, Mr. Mitchell?" He cracked. "She was weak. She was holding me back. I had a life to live." His lawyer grabbed his arm, but it was too late. The jury had heard everything they needed to hear. The jury deliberated for 4 hours. I sat in the hallway outside the courtroom. Beth sat beside me. Kate stood near the water fountain. None of us spoke. 4 hours to decide if my daughter's killer would walk free or spend his life in prison. 4 hours that felt like 4 years. When the bailiff came out and said they'd reached a verdict, my legs wouldn't work. Beth had to help me stand. We filed back into the courtroom. Ryan sat rigid at the defense table. Jennifer wasn't there. She'd already been sentenced the week before. Judge Morrison entered. "Has the jury reached a verdict?" The forewoman stood. She was maybe 60 years old. Looked like someone's grandmother. Like me. "We have, Your Honor." The clerk took the paper, read it aloud. "In the case of the People versus Ryan Mitchell, on the charge of first-degree murder, how do you find the defendant?" 3 seconds of silence. 3 seconds where I forgot how to breathe. "Guilty." The courtroom exploded, people crying, some cheering. The judge's gavel came down hard. "Order! I will have order." But I barely heard it. The word guilty was ringing in my ears like a bell. "On the charge of conspiracy to commit murder?" Guilty. "On the charge of insurance fraud?" Guilty. "On the charge of forgery?" Guilty. Ryan's head dropped into his hands. His lawyer leaned over, whispered something. Ryan shook his head, kept shaking it. Judge Morrison addressed the jury. "Thank you for your service. This court is adjourned until sentencing." 2 weeks later, we were back. The courtroom was quieter this time. Fewer people. Just family and close friends. Judge Morrison looked down at Ryan from her bench. "Mr. Mitchell, you have been found guilty of first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit murder, insurance fraud, and forgery. Before I pass sentence, is there anything you wish to say?" Ryan stood. His lawyer tried to pull him back down, but Ryan shook him off. "I loved Emma," he said, voice hollow. "I know no one believes that, but I did. At first." He looked at me for the first time since the verdict. I don't expect forgiveness, Mrs. Blake. I don't deserve it. What I did was—" His voice broke. He didn't finish. Judge Morrison's face was stone. "Mr. Mitchell, you took a beautiful woman who dedicated her life to teaching children. You took her not in a moment of passion, but through calculated, premeditated murder. You drugged her. You manipulated her. And when she was at her most vulnerable, you pushed her to her death. She let that sit in the air. You did this for money. $2 million that you will never spend. You destroyed a family. You orphaned the students who loved her. You murdered a daughter in front of her own mother's eyes, even if she didn't know it yet." Ryan was crying now, silent tears. "There is no punishment severe enough for what you've done. But the law provides one option. Ryan Mitchell, I hereby sentence you to life in prison without the possibility of parole. You will never walk free again." The gavel came down. Ryan collapsed into his seat. His lawyer was already talking about appeals, but I could see it in Ryan's face. He knew it was over. They led him away in handcuffs. He looked back once, not at me, at the empty space where Emma should have been. After the courtroom cleared, I stood outside on the courthouse steps. The sun was setting. Everything looked gold and soft. Beth found me there, hugged me for a long time. "It's over," she whispered. "Emma can rest now." But I didn't feel like it was over. I felt hollow, empty. Kate came up beside us. "Margaret, you did it. You got justice for Emma." Justice. That word again. "Did I?" I asked. "She's still gone. Ryan's in prison, but Emma's still in the ground." Kate squeezed my hand. "Justice doesn't bring people back. It just makes sure the guilty pay the price." A young woman approached us. Maybe 30. Red hair, nervous eyes. "Mrs. Blake?" I turned. "My name is Rachel. I saw your story on the news. She struggled for words. "I was in an abusive marriage. For 5 years. I saw what you did. How you fought for Emma. And it gave me the courage to leave my husband last week." She was crying now. "You saved my life. You don't even know me, but you saved my life." I hugged her. This stranger, this woman whose name I'd never heard before. "Emma would be so proud of you," Rachel whispered. After she left, I sat down on the courthouse steps, watched the sun finish setting. Beth sat beside me, Kate on my other side. "What happens now?" I asked. "Now?" Kate said. "Now you start healing." But I didn't know how to heal from this. How do you heal from a wound that takes away half your heart? I thought about Emma's letter, the one asking me not to hate Ryan, asking me to find peace. I'd gotten justice, but I hadn't gotten peace. Maybe justice and peace were two different things. Maybe you could have one without the other. Or maybe peace would come later. After the rage burned out, after the headlines faded, after the world moved on and left me alone with my grief. I looked up at the darkening sky. "I did it, baby," I whispered. "He'll never hurt anyone else." The wind picked up. Somewhere in the distance, I smelled lavender. And for just a moment, I felt Emma there beside me. Not gone. Just changed. 3 months after the sentencing, I stood on a stage in front of 200 people. The Domestic Violence Coalition had asked me to speak at their annual fundraiser. I'd said no 3 times before I finally agreed. The room was full of women, some survivors, some advocates, some just people who wanted to help. I gripped the podium, looked out at all those faces. "My name is Margaret Blake. 3 months ago I buried my daughter Emma. She was 34 years old. She was a teacher, she was kind, and she was murdered by her husband." The room went completely silent. For months before she died, I saw the signs. The bruises she tried to hide, the phone calls at 2 a.m, the way she flinched when I mentioned his name. My voice caught. I steadied it. But I didn't push. I thought I was respecting her choices. I thought I was being supportive. I looked at a woman in the front row. She was crying. I was wrong. Silence isn't support. Silence is permission. Someone in the back stood up, started clapping, then another person, then another, until the whole room was standing. I raised my hand. They sat back down. If you're here tonight because you're worried about someone, a daughter, a sister, a friend, don't wait. Don't think it's not your business. Because by the time you act, it might be too late. I pulled out Emma's photo, the one from her classroom, held it up so everyone could see. This is Emma. She believed everyone deserved second chances. She believed in love, and that belief killed her. I set the photo down gently. But I'm not here to tell you to stop believing in love. I'm here to tell you that love should never hurt. Love should never make you afraid. And if it does, it's not love. It's control. When I finished speaking, dozens of women lined up to talk to me. One said, "You gave me courage to leave." Another, "I thought I was crazy. Thank you for showing me I'm not." A young girl, maybe 20. "My mom didn't make it out. But because of you, I will." I hugged each one, cried with them, gave them Kate's card, told them where to find help. Beth found me after everyone had left. I was sitting in a folding chair, exhausted but somehow lighter. "Emma would be so proud," Beth said. "Would she?" "I turned her funeral into an arrest. I used her death to trap her killer." Beth sat down beside me. "You used her death to save other women. That's what Emma would have wanted. That's who she was." Over the next 3 months, I spoke at 12 more events, trained volunteer advocates, helped set up a hotline for victims. Kate and I worked together. She taught me to recognize the signs law enforcement looks for. I taught her advocates how to talk to scared women who weren't ready to press charges yet. One afternoon, my phone rang. Unknown number. "Is this Margaret Blake?" "Yes. My name is Lisa Patterson. I'm calling about my daughter. She died 10 years ago. The police said it was suicide, but I never believed it." My blood went cold. "What was her name?" "Amy Patterson. She was married to a man named Ryan Mitchell. Ryan's first wife." "He killed her too, didn't he?" Mrs. Patterson's voice broke. "Just like he killed your Emma." I closed my eyes. "Tell me everything." She did. Amy had died from a drug overdose, sleeping pills. The police found a note, but Mrs. Patterson said the handwriting was wrong. Amy had a life insurance policy. $500,000. Ryan collected it all. "No one believed me," Mrs. Patterson said. "They said I was in denial, that I couldn't accept my daughter's suicide." "I believe you." She started crying. "Can we reopen the case? With what happened to Emma, can they investigate Amy's death again?" I called Kate immediately. She made calls. Within 2 weeks, they'd exhumed Amy's body. The coroner found the same thing. Zolpidem levels far too high to be self-administered, bruising that suggested a struggle, and the suicide note forged, just like Emma's life insurance signature. Kate came to my house with the report. "Margaret, Ryan killed before. If you hadn't stopped him, he would have killed again." I thought about that, about all the women Ryan might have married, poisoned, pushed, buried. "How many more would there have been?" I asked. Kate shook her head. "We'll never know, but because of you, we'll never have to find out." That night, I went to Emma's grave, the first time since the burial. I knelt in the grass, touched her headstone. "You saved people, baby. Even after you were gone. Women are alive because of you." The wind moved through the trees, brought that lavender smell again. I wasn't drowning anymore. I was swimming, and I was pulling others up with me. Emma had taught me to love. Ryan had taught me to fight. I'd learned to do both. 6 months after Ryan's sentencing, I received a letter. Prison mail. My hands shook when I saw the return address. Ryan had written to me. I sat at my kitchen table for 10 minutes before I could make myself open it. "Margaret," it started. "I know you'll never forgive me. I don't expect you to. But I need to say this. I'm sorry. Not sorry I got caught. Sorry for what I did. Emma didn't deserve it. She was good, and I destroyed that. Every day in here, I see her face. I hear her voice. 'Ryan, please.' That's what she said before I pushed her. And I did it anyway. I don't know what happened to me. Greed, maybe. Fear of being ordinary. Jennifer made me feel alive in a way Emma couldn't. But that's no excuse. You asked me once why I married Emma if I didn't love her. The truth? I did love her. I just loved money more. I'll spend the rest of my life here. That's justice. But it doesn't undo what I did. I'm sorry." I read it 3 times. Then I called Kate. He wrote to me. What did he say? he apologized. Silence on the line. Do you believe him? Kate finally asked. I looked out the window, at Emma's herb garden that I'd replanted in my backyard. Basil, mint, rosemary. It doesn't matter, I said. I wrote a letter back, but I never sent it. Ryan, you're right. I won't forgive you. Not because I'm cruel, but because forgiveness would mean what you did is forgivable. It's not. But I will say this. I don't hate you anymore. Hate takes energy I don't have. Instead, I pity you. You had a woman who loved you, and you threw her away for money you'll never spend. Emma forgave you before she died. She asked me not to hate you. I can't honor that, but I can let go. Not for you, for me. I burned the letter in the fireplace, watched the paper curl and blacken. Ryan didn't deserve closure, but I did. And that night, I finally slept through till morning. Forgiving myself took longer than forgiving him. But that day, I started. 8 months after Ryan's conviction, Kate called with news. Margaret, we found something. During the investigation into Amy Patterson's death, I sat down. What? There are 12 other women who died in similar circumstances over the past 15 years. All were married to men with patterns like Ryan's. All had recently increased life insurance policies. All died from supposed accidents or suicides involving sedatives. My blood ran cold. 12? We're reopening every case. But Margaret, Kate's voice dropped. Ryan wasn't working alone. We've traced communications between him and at least 3 other men. They were sharing strategies, teaching each other. A network. Ryan hadn't just been a killer. He'd been part of something bigger. How many did Ryan kill? We can prove 2. Emma and Amy. But there's a third woman. Ryan was married before Amy. Her name was Kelly Brooks. She died in a house fire. Ruled accidental. 3 wives. 3 dead women. 3 insurance payouts. If you hadn't stopped him, Kate said quietly, there would have been a 4th and a 5th. He had Jennifer lined up as the next victim. Her life insurance policy was already increased. He would have married her, waited a year, then killed her too. Jennifer, the woman who'd helped him murder Emma. She'd been his next target. Does she know? We told her yesterday. She's cooperating now, giving us everything she knows about the network. I closed my eyes. 12 women, maybe more. If I hadn't heard that phone call, if I hadn't gone to Emma's apartment, if I hadn't fought, how many more women would have died? I'd saved future victims, but I couldn't save the past ones. That weight, I'd carry forever. 1 year after Emma's death, I held a memorial at the cemetery. 50 people came. Family, friends, Emma's former students, women I'd helped through the crisis hotline. Everyone placed a flower on Emma's grave. Lavender, of course. I read a poem Emma had written when she was 12. If I could be anything, I'd be the light that helps you see that even in the dark, love still exists in you and me. Her students sang, one of the songs she used to sing in class. You are my sunshine. I couldn't get through it without crying. But they were different tears now, warmer somehow. Beth spoke. Emma taught us to be kind. Margaret taught us to be strong. Together they taught us that love is both soft and fierce. When it was my turn to speak, I stood in front of Emma's headstone. A year ago, I lost my daughter. But I gained a mission. Emma's death will not be in vain. Every woman we save, every abuser we stop, that's Emma's legacy. The sun was setting. Golden light fell across the cemetery. A butterfly landed on Emma's grave marker, white wings with black edges. It sat there for a long moment. I smiled. Hi, baby. Rachel, the woman from the courthouse steps, came up to me after. Mrs. Blake, I'm getting married next month. To someone who treats me right. I wanted you to know you changed my life. I hugged her. Emma changed your life. I just carried her torch. When everyone left, I sat alone by Emma's grave. The evening air smelled like grass and flowers and summer. Rest now, baby, I whispered. Mama's got this. And for the first time in a year, I felt peace. 18 months after Emma's death, I sat in a small office with Emma's photo on the wall. The sign on the door read, Emma's Light Foundation. Around me were 23 other photos, Women who'd escaped because of the hotline, because of the advocates we'd trained, because someone finally believed them. My phone rang. The crisis line. Emma's Light Foundation. This is Margaret. A woman's voice. Shaking. Is this real? Can you really help? Yes. Tell me what's happening. My husband. He's been so nice lately. Too nice. He bought me expensive jewelry. He increased my life insurance last month, and I found sleeping pills in his drawer. Pills with my name on them. Am I crazy? My blood went cold. The pattern. Ryan's pattern. What's your address? She told me. I was already texting Kate. Listen to me carefully. You're not crazy. You're in danger. I'm sending police to your location right now. Pack a bag. Take your identification, your credit cards. Do you have somewhere safe to go? My sister's house. In another state. Good. Go there today. Don't tell him where you're going. Don't leave a note. 2 hours later, Kate called. We got there in time. Found evidence of life insurance fraud. Plans on his computer. He was going to do it this weekend. Another life saved. Another woman who'd get to see tomorrow. I looked at the wall of photos. 24 now. Over 18 months, we'd helped 340 women leave abusive situations. 67 had been in immediate danger like the woman today. 12 cases were reopened as possible homicides disguised as accidents. The foundation operated a 24/7 hotline, trained advocates in 40 states, partnered with police departments to recognize the signs. Kate and I had built something that mattered. But it started with Emma. That evening, I wrote a letter. Not to anyone specific, just to whoever needed to hear it. My name is Margaret Blake. 18 months ago, I buried my daughter Emma. She was 34. She was a teacher. She believed in second chances and the goodness of people. And those beliefs were used to kill her. Her husband drugged her, manipulated her, and pushed her from a balcony for $2 million. But Emma's death taught me something. Grief can be transformed. Not the grief itself that never leaves, but what you do with it. I couldn't save Emma, but I could save the next Emma, and the one after that. If you're reading this and you see yourself in Emma's story, if you're scared, if you're trapped, if someone controls your money, your time, your choices, I'm telling you what I wish I'd told Emma. Leave. You're not overreacting. You're not being dramatic. You're not crazy. You're in danger. And you deserve to survive. Call someone. Tell someone. Run before it's too late. The world needs you alive. Your story isn't over. Don't let someone else write your ending. I posted it online. By morning, it had been shared 8,000 times. Women messaged me. This is my life. Thank you for seeing me. I left this morning because of your words. My friend is in this situation. I'm showing her this now. Emma's story was saving people she'd never met, in places she'd never been. That's legacy. The foundation grew. We opened a second office. Then a third, hired full-time staff. Worked with legislators on domestic violence laws. Every woman we helped, I told them about Emma, about the teacher who loved her students, who believed in kindness, who died because that kindness wasn't protected. And I told them, love should never hurt. If it does, it's not love, it's control. Sometimes at night, I still heard Emma's voice. Not the scared voice from her unsent emails, not the voice saying, Ryan, please, before she died, but the voice from when she was 8. Running through the house, laughing in the garden, singing off-key in the shower. That's the Emma I chose to remember. 1 year after the trial, I visited Ryan in prison. The only time I'd seen him since sentencing. He looked older, thinner, broken. We sat across from each other with glass between us, picked up phones. Why did you come? He asked. To tell you something. Emma forgave you. Before she died, she wrote me a letter asking me not to hate you. And I don't. I don't hate you, Ryan. I pity you. You had everything a woman who loved you. A life, a future. And you destroyed it all for money you'll never spend. You'll die in here, alone, forgotten. While Emma's name will live on. Every woman we save, we tell them about her. About the teacher who believed in love. That's her legacy. What's yours? I hung up the phone. Walked out. never looked back. Grief doesn't end, but it can transform. And sometimes, transformation is the closest thing to healing. My name is Margaret Blake. I'm Emma's mother, and as long as I'm breathing, no abuser will rest easy. Justice doesn't sleep, and neither do I. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and feel free to share your story in the comments.